Welcome to the show, everybody. Brain Health, Unchaining Your Pain. And I am so excited and really honoured to have an amazing guest on our show today, Aimmee Kodachian. Absolutely welcome to the show.
It is my pleasure to be on your show. I love what you do.
So Aimmee is just such an amazing soul. She is the author of Tears of Hope, where she really shares her journey about living through sexual, physical and mental abuse and really surviving 13 devastating years of the 1975 Lebanese Civil War, and her inspiring story, which is in this phenomenal book that she's written herself, is actually being made into a motion picture entitled Light from the Shadows, which is being written and co-produced by Eric P. Granger. And oh my goodness, Aimmee, it is the most phenomenal, can't put down book. I have all my tissues to hand as we go through this interview, because I feel I might have a tear or two coming on. It was just an absolutely heart-wrenching, heart-stopping stories, and just want to thank you for sharing it and having the power and the courage to do so.
Well, thank you for taking the time to read it. I really appreciate that. And I want the results to be the tears of joy to others by learning and being inspired, and give them hope by reading the book. That's the main message. It's about forgiveness, love, peace, hope, and so we can all have a better life.
And before we dive into your phenomenal story, could you introduce to the listeners who you are, what you do, and who you serve now today?
Who I am today. That's the key. Who I am today, not who I was. Because
exactly.
My story, it's not who I am. It just made me who I am. So I don't live my story. This is who I am today because of my story. So today I am the founder of EmpoweringHumanityTV.com, where I have a TV show with audience. I bring some of the top experts in the world to share their knowledge, wisdom, and powerful insights. And I also have a kind of online academy where I bring speakers, leaders to share again their wisdom and knowledge, because that's how we're going to change the world, one step at a time, one person at a time, one city at a time. The goal is to really have this movement and create all the leaders come together so we can have a better life. And I also have a networking event where I empower humanity. And then also we have healing through music. So I empowerhumanitytv.com. We deliver our message through 4 different ways: TV show, networking events, healing through music, and the academy with other experts like yourself. That's where I am today. It's about healing the world. That's what I do.
It's so important given the crisis we're in today's society. I know, we've seen some horrific images on television recently about the struggles that people are facing, and the violence that people are experiencing. And I just think it's such a beautiful message and opportunity to really share your story and really help empower other people to learn from the experts how they can really take back control of their well-being and really learn from the best people to know that there is hope and that there is light out there, and that there is light at the end of that tunnel of darkness, and people are there to hold their hand and guide them through it and show them the way. So just want to thank you for doing that.
Oh, I thank you. I thank all of the experts who comes and become part of the show or the academy. I actually thank them for stepping up and doing this, because Knowledge is power if you know how to use it. And all of the experts have a way to teach and to guide people to see light through darkness. Such as yourself, you're out there helping people, and you shared something. I watched one of your interviews. You're sharing about how you could relax, and then if you have a child, you could help them. That's empowering. That's knowledge that some mother can apply to herself and to her child. That's the kind of things I am blessed, and I don't need to be thanked. I thank other experts. I thank all of you who stepping in and becoming part of this beautiful movement. And the reason I am very passionate about this, and all of the experts are very passionate in making a difference in the world, is because we want to make it. We want to empower. We want to uplift the energy in the world. We want to elevate the consciousness in the world. We're all passionate about that. And myself particularly, I want to do something like this, just empower humanity. I want to just empower humanity. It doesn't matter what you believe, what your religion, what your political background, all on the side, and we're just gonna come in and heal families and individuals, because we want to have a better world. I believe in knowledge, because I didn't get the chance to learn from anybody besides my father left a knowledge with me. He was my mentor, and he unfortunately he passed when I was 25, and I didn't spend too much time with him when I was a child, as you read the book. But just because when he left that knowledge a little bit with me made a difference in my life. And I know how much all of the experts that they're coming together to help this movement, how much they're going to leave a legacy. They're going to change people's life. I didn't have an opportunity to get access to this, what we have right now, but I want to provide it to other people.
I think
provide it to the world.
And I just think that's so beautiful. And Aimee, I'd love for you to, I know you've written this book, Tears of Hope. What was it that really inspired you to write your life story? What was the driver behind it?
It just, sometimes we grow in life and then we overcome our obstacles and challenges and we don't even realize it. As you know, I have only fourth grade education. And when I came to United States, I didn't speak English at all. And the first couple of years, I was around mainly people who spoke my language, Armenian and Arabic. And I didn't learn English, but then I was basically couch homeless in the United States because I didn't come in as a refugee from Lebanon. And I didn't have a close family. I had some relatives, but I didn't have a close family. So I didn't have a home, basically. And I had to survive with a 10-year-old daughter in a foreign country. I didn't speak English at all. I didn't have money. I didn't have a skill. I didn't have education. So I had to find my way to survive. But then I forgot about how I survived it when I became an entrepreneur. And I was driving on the freeway, driving a brand new car, listening to music, enjoying myself, and just being successful, just enjoying the success that I got. And very soon I felt the tear coming down. Tears of joy, like, where am I today? I have only fourth grade education, severe dyslexia. I didn't know how to even, when I used to do meeting for business, nobody knew I didn't know how to write. I used to have like my own sign of writing. I put notes on my own, in my own way, but it's all hidden, Then I found myself, I took my car and I parked it in the desert, and I just broke down from happiness, from joy. Like, wow, really? This is where I am now? Would someone didn't have hope or believe that you could be somewhere? And just my inner voice. I heard my inner voice says, you need to write your book. You need to inspire others. If you can do it, somebody else can do it. And all the pictures start to come to me when people waiting in line in a grocery, they get uptight. When they're in the fast food, if there is a couple of cars, they get uptight. And I'm looking at them and I'm saying, you don't know what it is to wait in line to have a piece of bread. You don't know what it is. I couldn't blame them. It's not judging because they don't know any better. So I thought maybe if I bring the knowledge, maybe if I share, then they will not be uptight if they're staying online. Maybe then they will see their life differently. Maybe by sharing the story, it will help them to see their life differently. If we don't share our stories, then how other people could see their life? They can compare their life, right?
Yeah, and I think it's so important that you give people hope by sharing your story, that there's hope that there's an opportunity to have a better life than the one that they had. And I know there's so many people who you may feel that they've been in a similar position to you, coming into America with hardly any money, $200, I think you had, didn't you, and a 10-year-old daughter, no ability to speak a language, and knowing that there is hope, there is a future that you can create for yourself, and which you did for yourself, by yourself, which I think is phenomenal. But I know that there were two major influences in your life, and that was your dad, who unfortunately he died very young for you, but also your brother, your older brother Robert. Would you mind taking us back to the story, how he really inspired you to have belief in yourself, and the conversation that you had with him?
Yeah, I will. And then maybe we'll get into, after that story, why important to keep your hope alive. It is very important, because without learning how to keep your hope alive, something can really, really crush you. As you know, I could share Robert's story for sure. Robert and I, he's was 8 years older than me, but he always believed in me. And that particular day, 1975, with the Lebanese Civil War just began, and my father wanted us to move to Egypt. So he came. My father said, "Okay, we making decision, family decision, and we all gonna have to move to Egypt ASAP because the war is gonna start." And we didn't know what war means that time. We didn't experience anything. We're just starting to be in the streets a little bit. And we were okay, we were gonna do that. And my father left the room after the meeting, and my mom and my other brothers left. And I stayed with Robert in the room, talking to him. And this is the day that I had, he taught me how to keep my hope alive, because I was losing hope. I was losing my hope because I was repeating class year after year with my dyslexia, and I had no hope to be anything. Then he was telling me, Amy, what you want to do when you grow up? I said, I want to be a teacher. He said, why you want to be a teacher? I said, because I want to help. I want to inspire. I want to help the kids. I don't want to punish them, because I was punished by my teacher. I'm not saying every teacher is like that, but
but I know it's very difficult for you, wasn't it?
Yes. And they didn't understand back then what dyslexia mean. They thought I was just lazy and I didn't want to learn. He said, I promise you I will help you to become a teacher. I'm like, no way. I can't even graduate from my class. This is just a dream. This is just a hope. He said, you need to stay on this, and I'm going to help you. It was one of the days that I would say lifted me up. It gave me hope. It kept me going. And Robert needed to get the tea from the kitchen. So I said, you sit, I'll go get your tea, because I don't want him to leave. I didn't want him to leave the room. So he's supposed to be leaving the room. So I said, you stay and I'll go. I stood up and then I was turning just the wall towards the kitchen, and I heard a loud sound like like this, and then the bomb came into the living room and killed my brother Robert. I turned around and I saw Robert, and I saw his hand, the one he was going to uh, give me the hand, and Robert was gone, just in the blink of the eye. And my mom, she was trying to throw herself from the window. And my father, because she didn't know what happened, and each one of we lived in 5 stories. Each one of the stories, bomb flew in to the same room, and the whole building was shaking, and my mom completely lost it. She was trying to throw herself from the window. My father is holding her back, and he's looking at me. Are you okay? I'm looking at my mom trying to throw herself, my brother burning in the room, and a bomb coming one after another. And very soon the door was pushed in, and my brother Eli and 2 other men, they carried me. I was still in my pajamas. They carried me and took me down. And when I was coming out the building, I looked at that room that I was there a few seconds earlier, and the room was in flame. My life changed from that moment, and I just had to keep something from Robert, and I learned how to keep my hope, because he wanted me to keep my hope. And I thought, if I stop keeping hope, I'm not giving him what he wanted for me. Even though every time I was smiling, I felt guilty for years, because I'm supposed to be in the room and he's supposed to be leaving the room. So he kind of saved my life. So I wanted to do something for him. I wanted to keep my hope every time my hope was crushed. That was only the beginning of the war, and a long, harsh reality after that.
Yeah, and I know and thank you so much for sharing such a difficult moment in your life. And I know it was such a hard moment for you, and also such a beautiful experience just beforehand as well, with the hope that Robert left you with, that you can believe in yourself, and he believed in you too.
And I believe in others now. That's what I do. I pay it forward,
And I think I know you went through such incredible hardship during the war. Your entire family. It was such a destructive period of your life. Could you share what the worst, most painful experience was for you during that time?
Can you repeat that question? For some reason, I didn't hear it.
That's okay. So when you were living through the Lebanese Civil War, what was the worst or most painful experience that you had during that time? Because I know there were so many, but what was the hardest?
Well, the first one is losing Robert. Nothing could really take that. But then when my family lost everything and we became homeless. We didn't have home anymore. We didn't have anything. So we had to separate. And they put me in the mountain with my 6-year-old brother for safety, because we didn't have anywhere to stay. When they put us there, I remember when, the car left, I felt like my heart is leaving with my family, because I didn't know if I'm going to see them again. So I stayed in that mountain for like 7 months, and the war shut down the communications. But back then we didn't have cellulars. Barely anyone had a phone I mean, we had phones, but not everybody had a phone. And
And you were in a
even that
boarding
was
school,
shut
weren't
down.
you?
Yes,
You were in a boarding school at the time, which wasn't the most pleasant experience at all,
that
even if
wasn't
it wasn't a civil war.
exactly. It wasn't a good boarding school. Like here, boarding schools are good, but that particular boarding school was not the best boarding school ever. And we get shut down from the water, electricity, food. I caught my brother eating from the garbage. They were giving us just piece of bread and a little bit paste tomato on it. Sometimes we get soup if we're lucky, or fruits, uh, apple. And I had to give it to my brother, my food, because it wasn't enough for him. So it was a very experience that was very, very hard to see. My little brother had to be a mother to my brother, and I'm still grieving about my other brother, Robert. So it was those moments, not knowing if I'm going to see my parents again, not knowing if I'm going to see any of my family again, and watching from the window at night, seeing the bomb flying, like a fire flying from one area to another one. Like, that was so scary, because I knew with each one of those bombs what's gonna happen, and to where it's dropping, who's killing right now, is I'm ever gonna see my family again. It was very, very difficult, and but I gained something in that moment. I went so deep into my soul, so deep into my dig deep into my heart. I was so scared, and I was so confused, and I didn't know how to deal with 6 years old brother to help him when he asked for his mom, which is my mom. And then when he asked about Robert, and when he's hungry, and then I was young myself, so I felt so darkness in my heart. And at that moment, because it was a brand still new, the war was, none of the kids lost anyone at that time. And in my country, we respected that, so we wear black, but not at the age of 12. I still wanted to wear black just because I want to respect my brother. So, but I felt black in my heart, in my soul. And at one time, I found myself sitting on a bench, and I had big tree behind me. I still remember I put my back like this, and I looked up, and I said, I surrendered. I surrendered from fear. I just, like, I was sobbing, crying, saying, God, I need your help. I need guidance. I want to know if my parents are alive or not. And I kidding you not, I just felt, after I surrendered completely, I felt like light came through me, like literally filled every inch of my body. And after that, I felt relaxed. I felt like more alive. I felt I was guided. I was able to guide whatever happened throughout the 13 years and throughout the rest of my life until today. I felt
Wow.
protected. There is something magical happened that day. And I learned how to do that in other times when I was going through obstacles and challenges, how to surrender. And that's the experience I learned from that. It's just, I think the war tortured everyone, but at the same time, I gained something that I can't explain.
And how did you leverage that to help your brother through the really difficult times in the boarding school that you
Yes.
were in? How did you find that courage and the deep rooted power inside you to keep going? Because I know it was such a hard journey for you? How did you muster up that courage and that power inside yourself to just keep going and keep persevering?
I think when you find your why, you find you have to do it for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
You look for something to look for, to live for. For some reason, I was able to keep as much as positive. First of all, that light really lifted me up.
Mm-hmm.
And then knowing that I have to take care of him, it allowed me to surrender because I needed guidance.
Mm-hmm.
And also keeping my hope alive because of what Robert did for me. And I wanted to keep him alive. So I had to keep my hope alive. And somehow I was able to navigate. And there is power when you help somebody else. And I think it subconsciously, that's what I'm doing today. What I'm doing today is like, I want to help others. Even if I don't help them, you can help them. I have access to some top experts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't I use that and I can let you help others? So I don't have to personally help others, even though I do coaching and I have my programs and everything, but I'm not enough for the world. It's just, I'm not going to be the one who's going to change the world. I will be the one who's going to make a difference with the world, with other people who's willing to come in, so we all can change the world and make a difference. So that's the deep passion I have. I work so much. I work hours and hours because my husband, he tells me, if you didn't have passion, you will break. Because I work 7 days a week, sometimes 14, 18 hours a day. I'm so blessed to have him support me with that. I recently spent time yesterday with my grandkids. I went to baseball game. Literally, I literally felt alive a little bit because I was able just to be outdoor and not just working and giving. I'm learning to relax and take time and, enjoy life, whatever. But when you're putting a platform like this together, it's not an easy task, but it's okay with me. I live in this.
It's your passion.
My passion, and I don't get tired. I make all my team get tired before I get tired because I do get tired afterwards. After I finish what I'm doing, then it goes like, oh, now I feel tired. When I'm working, I'm not feeling anything. But I just feel if I don't do this, I don't know what else to do. But yesterday, I really felt like, wow, I've been gone. I mean, I go visit and everything, not as much as I should. But I have not really felt relaxed like this for a long time because I've been going.
Going.
I want to leave a legacy before anything happened to me.
And is that how you survived? Was that your survival mechanism through the really dark times in your life? Is just to keep going, and eventually you'll have that opportunity to.
That feeds me. That feeds my soul. Knowing that if somebody learns something from you, they're going to have a better life. That means a lot to me. Knowing that what I'm building is something bigger than myself and something it's going to give opportunity to all of the people who wants to make a difference come together. That means a lot to me. It's not about me. It's about what I'm leaving legacy and how I can help experts like yourself to really reach people around the world. That's how I can serve.
Yeah, I think it's just amazing what you've managed to accomplish. And I would love to explore a bit more of your story, which I know was a very difficult piece to write, if you'd be willing to talk about it.
Sure.
And that was the difficulty that you had with your other brother, who who was not nice to you. Would you mind sharing some of that, because this is such a taboo topic that people don't have the courage to talk about. And I think your message is so important for many children and adults out there who have suffered similar abuse that you experienced.
Yeah, this is a difficult topic.
Okay,
but that's okay. That's okay. That's why I wrote it, because I had to find the courage to write about it. So I need to find the courage to talk about it, right?
Okay.
And the reason I found the courage is because I want people not to feel alone. I want them to speak up. I want them not to feel alone. Like I wrote in the book, I was 7 years old when I get sexually abused by my brother. And that continued. And not only the abuse sexually, it was physically and mentally, emotionally. He was beating me. Yeah. And I couldn't tell anyone because, that's what they do. They make you feel guilty that there's something wrong with you and you should be ashamed. And I was 7 years old. Yeah. And I was 7 years old, didn't know what is going on. But you just believe that. You believe that you're not good, that there's something wrong with you. And adopting that idea, it's what makes people don't speak up, what makes children don't speak up, because they don't feel like they're worthy and somebody's gonna listen to them, somebody's gonna believe them. And that's why I wrote it, because I wanted to encourage others to come out and talk about it if they're going through something like this. I want the mothers maybe to pay more attention to her child, what she's going through. And maybe her child not saying anything doesn't mean the mother is not good mother, but it could be the mother who is very trusty with the neighbors or her other siblings. She trusts, and maybe that will ignite to have the mother to have some questions a little bit and watch more than what they already watching, because mothers, they always protect their children, and I respect that. But sometimes some things could pass you and you don't even know what's happening. And that's what happened to my mom. She didn't know, and even my father didn't know. Nobody knew about it until I was like 33 years old. The first time I told my mom, before I wrote the first book. And the reason I told her, because she came to the United States and my husband encouraged me to tell her. So I was able to tell her. I told her, my sister, my daughter, and one of my cousin, and my brother, my younger brother. Felt pressure came down off of my back, telling what happened. But what happened is Ely passed away. And 1 week before Ely passed away, he asked for forgiveness. And the day that we had to say goodbye to him, I bent down and I said to him, "Thank you for teaching me how to forgive."
And your dynamic with your brother, I think it's a beautiful part of the story, really shifted in that week before he passed, didn't it? Because he realized
he
the
felt
wrongdoing
guilty.
that had occurred and how it had influenced your life decisions and the course of your life. And I think it's amazing that you did find it in your heart to forgive him for all of the hurt that he did to you.
He asked for forgiveness.
And what would your piece of advice for children be who are struggling with this particular situation themselves, with a sibling that is not being kind to them? What would you say to children who may be listening, or teens who've experienced this as younger children, What would your advice be to them?
Don't ever, 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 ever feel guilty about what happened to you, that it is you, because it's not you, and you're not responsible for what's happening to you. And to have the courage to speak about it, not to be afraid, find the right person that might guide you without creating drama around it, because that's what we try to avoid, not to have drama. I avoided not to have Robert fight with Ely, because Robert, if he knew about it, he will definitely have, it will be World War III between them. And I kind of knew that. Just to prevent the problems, I didn't say anything.
And how did, sorry.
No, just to prevent it, I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
But I didn't do the right thing. I should have maybe told my father, which is, you have to choose who's in the family that has a stable mind. And then choose the person who you're close to and they're able to handle that. Because sometimes one person, and that's why I didn't say anything, because I felt I can get the hit, but if I say something, it's going to destroy the whole family. And I think a lot of children think the same way. If I say something, it's going to destroy the whole family. And as girls, we like peace. We want to keep peace in the house. So therefore, we don't say anything. So many people are abused by their father, not necessarily brother or uncle or somebody. They don't want to create. I think girls, they don't say anything because they want to create, and boys too. They don't want to create problems, and they don't want to feel that they were part of something like that. So the shame, and also they don't want to create anything. So I encourage them to find the right person in the family who they know they're not going to make a huge issue about it. I should have maybe told my father, because he had more, he had a lot of wisdom, but it's still no one told me that I could do that. I hope by sharing this message with others, I can help them to do what I couldn't do. Right.
And what would, and I think it's so important that children have that safe haven what they can go to talk to get some help. But I also are consciously aware, from a brain health perspective, it's sometimes very difficult for children to communicate in a way that adults understand what the child is saying, because they're communicating in a language with emotions that are not fully developed. And so often it can be difficult for the parent to understand what exactly the child is saying. So with that in mind, what would you say to parents, from your personal experience and being now a parent yourself, what advice would you give to parents who want to protect their children and want to make sure that they are there for them and have an open line of communication? What advice would you give to parents to minimize the risk of this happening within the family circle or beyond the family circle, indeed?
Okay, so it to me, I would say, first of all, you have to learn how to recognize it in a child. And I would say 90%, I'm not a psychologist, you are, but for my experience, when a child's starting to be quiet, if your child was more up and then starting to be quiet, there is something not right. And I think it shouldn't come in and say, why you're being quiet? What's going on? You have to tell me what's going on. You have to tell me what's going on. I think it has to come from love, and it has to come from understanding and building the relationship between the mother or the father who's talking to the child, and starting to slowly make them feel comfortable to talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe bring some examples that
Yeah.
I heard this is happening to someone. I don't feel the child it's in wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Let them feel like you're not going to blame them if this happened, because
Mm-hmm.
most of the time the child is blaming themselves because they
Mm-hmm.
allowed it to be. And I think by understanding, giving them that assurance that we're not going to blame you, by giving
Yeah.
them the example, I think that will open the communications between you and the child.
Mm. And I think for me, I agree. And I think it's really important to have that open communication channel with a loving, nurturing approach from a
Yep.
parental perspective. Because as soon as you create a parental environment where you are berating your child or disciplining your child in a way that is destructive, it's very difficult for your child to feel that they can come
Yep.
and talk to you and express
Instead of
what's
saying
troubling
what's wrong
them.
with you, instead of
Yeah,
saying what's wrong with you, why you're acting this way, I wouldn't ask. I wouldn't ask what's wrong with you, why you're acting this way. As soon as
yeah.
you ask them what's wrong with you, why you're acting this way, they feel they have to hold it more.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
I think it's like almost when you tell a man, we need to talk,
yeah.
right?
It's
You don't tell a
very
man, sit down, we
confrontational.
need to talk. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? So you need to talk to your child a little bit differently, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. And I know, this is really important for me as now a mum that for my daughter that we have an open channel of communication where she feels
Trust.
she can express herself, and even at the smallest thing of her mentioning she was pushed by someone at nursery, we thank her for expressing
Saying
that
it.
was going on and saying it, and say it's really important that she says what's troubling her, and we'll
Hmm.
take it seriously, and obviously we do, and we follow up. But I think it's creating that really nurturing, safe environment for children to express in whatever way they feel they can, so that you can not only, as you said, hear what they're saying, but hear what they're not saying,
Yes.
and take action from that standpoint.
I think when you say to a child, what's wrong with you, it's you're giving them confirmation there is something wrong with them.
Yes, yes, yes.
And
And
that's
language
why
is so
they're being
important.
abused. There's
Yeah,
something wrong. You're no good. There's
yeah,
something wrong with you. You made the wrong decision. You knew better. You allowed it to happen. You know what I mean?
mm,
So what's wrong with you? Why you're acting this way? It's more confirming to the child not to tell you, because
yeah,
now you know what something wrong with me. I already know something wrong with me because that's what the abusive person told me, and now you're telling me what's wrong with you. It's confirming to say something wrong with me.
hmm, yeah. And I think also in the context of your story, and I certainly this is common from some of the things that have happened to me, is when you create an environment where you are making fun of people or putting people down, then you are going to close that person down to not feel that they can talk with you, because there's a risk that someone will make fun of your situation. And I know from
Yeah.
your educational perspective that was quite common in your story, that you were put down by certain members of your family, which made it hard for you to open up those communication channels by virtue of how that response was in terms of other parts of your life.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
Definitely. I'm
yeah,
glad the world are opening up more. We're understanding more. We understand our children more, our grandkids. A lot of things has been open. I think a human suffered for a long time because I mean, I thank God for United States, because when you live in a country that has hundreds of thousands of years of tradition, it's hard to break it. But the
Yeah.
United States opened up this door and brought people from everywhere in the world. And now we don't have one tradition. You know, we were not locked into one tradition has been 200, 300 years old. You know what I mean? It's the whole United States is not even 300
Yeah.
years old. So we
Yeah.
don't have, and then we have different tradition from different places. It's been changed a lot. You know, nobody really followed 100% what they brought with them. Some of it they continue, but not 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Their children's grandkids changing a little bit. So it's given us the freedom to speak up. I would never
Mm-hmm.
tell my story if I was still in my country. And
Mm.
I think that's what the message about having the freedom in the United States. And people think the freedom just to have a big home and have a big house and you know, wear whatever you want and do whatever you want. I think more than that, we're breaking those traditions, that it's not embarrassing to talk about things. It's not embarrassing to, if you want to divorce a guy that who's abusing you, you know, in my tradition,
It's
my
okay.
days was very bad. It's like
Yeah.
you could be abused several times by the male, and then if you get divorced, they're gonna blame you about it.
Mm.
You know, I don't encourage divorce. I've been married for almost 30 years with my husband, which is, I think he's my soulmate. I'm not encouraging that, but I don't encourage to stay in relationship where you're abused either,
Mm.
you know. So
So you.
so if you know how to take the freedom, I
Mm.
didn't take the freedom and married my husband and divorced him just because I am in the United States. No, because he's a nice guy, because he's
Yeah.
my soulmate, you know. And if he wasn't, then I have the freedom not to stay. So I think if people understand what is it, when the line that, you know, some people do need to have the freedom and not to be abused from that, not
Mm.
the freedom that I want to be single woman just
Mm.
for the sake of being single woman. It's not
Mm.
for me to say that anyway. Everybody's free to do whatever, but I'm not encouraging divorce just to have a freedom. But
Yeah.
if if you're if you're being abused, then it's different. Then it's
Mm.
different, both sides. You know what I mean? Not just women.
Mm.
There's men being abused too, right?
Absolutely.
There's a lot
Absolutely.
of men who's been being abused,
And I
or
know
they
you
don't
went.
communicate right.
Yeah, and I know you went on a journey yourself, didn't you, as a
Yes,
very young child bride to find the love of your life that you have today, and it was not a difficult. It wasn't. Sorry, it was not an easy journey. It was an
was
incredibly
not.
difficult one for yourself to get to where you are now, particularly with your immigration over to the USA. And I'd like to kind of delve a little bit into your immigration. I know it was an opportunity for you, and you pursued it with gusto. Could you tell us a little bit about your story as you arrived in the USA with your daughter, who's 10 years old? How you found that hope and found your way and became the entrepreneur and an amazing lady that you are today.
How long do we have?
Well, maybe we'll have to do the highlights or the lowlights, depending on
Literally,
how
how
you
long do we
perceive
have?
it.
uh, you know, I applied everything I learned throughout the war and to survive over there. And I told myself, well, it's true, different here, different kind of surviving, because it's different language, it's a different obstacles, different challenges. You know, it's totally there is no war over here. There's no bomb
Yeah,
coming at you, but there is something different. If you don't have the money, how you gonna pay the rent? If you don't have the
yeah.
money, I didn't come as a refugee, so it was very difficult. But I stood my ground, and I said, I'm not going back taking my daughter to put her in danger or myself. And I don't have the freedom over there. When you're divorced, back then, now they're more modern. That's why I thank America, because we're really delivering the message of a little bit more freedom. But back then, they looked at women very badly. In my days, it was, if you're divorced, it you are not third class, especially if you don't have education and you're not rich, you don't have a family, that's well off, right? And it was difficult for me to think even going back. And I said, you know what? I am not going back this time. I came here before, but I had to leave because, you have to read the story to know the whole detail. But this time I said, I'm not leaving. And I needed to keep my hope alive, because if you spell hope, it's having open possibilities every day.
I love that.
I believed I have open possibilities every day if I keep my hope alive. And I kept my hope, even though I heard how she's going to stay. There is no way she's going to make it. She doesn't speak English. She doesn't have money. She have a child with her. I mean, they try to help me. I don't blame people either, because I was so thankful for the people who opened the door and then let me sleep in the living room. I was so thankful to have the people who brought me leftovers when I was able to rent small one bedroom, not a studio, because I stopped working, and I was working making only $3 an hour because I didn't have paper, and until I made my paper, and it wasn't enough. So I had to sleep hungry just to feed my daughter, and it wasn't easy, but I kept my hope. Hope is having open possibilities every day.
Every day.
Every day I reminded myself, there is hope for me over here. There is opportunity for me here. There is, like, I need to keep going no matter what. I have no plan B. And when you don't have a plan B, sometimes you do have to have a plan B. But sometimes when you don't have a plan B, you don't give up.
Yeah. And you keep
You don't give up
going.
because you don't have any other choice.
Yeah.
It's like when the bomb flies, you don't have a choice but to run.
Yeah.
That's the only choice you have. You can't think. You can't say my choice here or here, stay or leave. You're gonna have to run. And I think life is the same way. And either I felt I have no choice but to stay. That's it. And having this attitude, no matter what they told me, I kind of knew in my heart, I'm going to make it because I know what I want. And this is part of what the program I developed. It's the negotiator mind, because I had to learn how to create a different way of thinking. And I discovered my negotiator mind. So instead of talking to people to find solution for me, and people now, they tell me, other experts, they say, Aimee, how do you do all this? How you get people to help you? How you get this done? How you get this done? And we can't do what you're doing. And they have more education than me. They've been doing what I'm doing for a long time, but they're not getting what I get. And I tell them is to learn how to negotiate with yourself before you go out and negotiate with others what you want. For example, if you want to buy a car, if you know exactly what you want and you know what color, what year, exactly what you want, when you go talk to the salesperson, there is no more negotiation because you negotiate that with yourself. And when you show up knowing what you want, people are willing to help you to get what you want.
Yeah.
Easier.
I think that's beautiful, actually. I can see how your story really gave you that insight into how it was really important for you to negotiate for yourself to help you get what you want. So I can see that's so powerful.
And I done this if I'm talking to somebody about My show's gonna be on Roku very soon, and if I'm doing anything, I do it not on purpose, but I know before I go meet with people, before I ask people, I think about it. I stop and I see their perspective. I see what they want. I serve them. I make sure I am clear in what I want, because people are busy, and when they see you're clear on what you want, most likely people will want to work with you. And I see that happening all the time, because when you show them that you're clear, they're happy, because life is not easy and life could be confusing. And when you know what you want, you could negotiate. I learned how to tap into my negotiator mind, and that's a process. It's like when you discover that kind of thinking, it's like a program. It's like fear program. We have fear, judgment, ego. We have those programs. We have a program named negotiator mind, and when we tap into that negotiator mind, we have to learn how to nurture it. So it took me years to get where I am, but I kind of mastered it because I have no choice but to do it.
And I think it's
not because I'm smart, because I had no other way, because I don't have education. So I had to develop my own.
I have to say that you clearly are smart, because you've been able to leverage the skill set that you've been given as a human and to best effect. So many people don't do that. So that's incredibly smart to take what you have and amplify it to the world. So I think
Thank you.
Don't discredit yourself there. And I know that has enabled you to get your book turned into a motion picture, which is coming out. Do you know when Light from the Shadows is going to appear on people's screens?
We're working on it
yet?
And we're working on it. And, it's so blessing again to have Eric P. Granger, who is the award winner screenwriter, adopted my book. And it's just a humbling to me, someone like him. He won like over 100 awards. I mean, he's really great writer.
Yeah.
And he's a co-producer. Would be nice for you to interview him, and he'll talk about it more.
I'd love to do that.
Yes, I'll connect you with him. He is such a blessing to our life, to my family. He became like part of our family. And he read the book 3 times because he wanted to make sure he's understanding it very deeply. And the way he wrote it, it's just a beautiful way. He had to write it a little bit like in different way, but to get the same point. But it's just beautiful. His writing is just so beautiful. So he's a co-producer too. We're working on it, and as soon as I have any news, I will definitely let you know.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. And what's next for you after that? What's next for you on the horizon? I know you've got so much going on with you, Empowering Humanity TV. You've got a magazine coming out.
Yes, magazine coming out. And the academy, the online academy, having experts like yourself. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's so exciting because I will be sharing your wisdom with other people. I hope the mother will open the book and she could read something that helps her with the child. And the husband will help him to understand his wife. And the wife, she'll read something to help her understand her boss or her husband. And we could have a more peace in the world by having all education, but it's in a fun way. That's what I want. I wanted to have an environment where we could have fun, learn, grow, and have peace in the world. That's the goal.
And your book is so powerful. I can imagine that it will be a book that will be studied at schools to talk about how people can overcome adversity and hardship and trauma and so many of the difficult times that you explain in your book. So really, you've really realized your dream of becoming a teacher with the knowledge and the the wisdom that you shared. And just really what I found so beautiful about your story is that you never once judged anybody. You really approached every difficult situation with such compassion towards whoever it was that was doing you harm, or whatever thing was doing harm to you in your life, and sought to find the lesson from it rather than the hate. And I think your dad was clearly an enormous role model, and your brother Robert in you, in finding that light from the darkness, and the tears of hope that you were able to now share with us. So I just really want to thank you so much for sharing your story. Finally, because this is the show Brain Health, Unchaining Your Pain, what one piece of advice would you give to somebody who has been experienced a major trauma in their life through living through a war-torn country, or dealing with abuse? What one piece of advice would you give to somebody who's struggling at the moment?
Sometimes what preventing us from finding the peace, because we allow our ego to take over. And if we just understand and have there is a healthy ego and there is unhealthy ego, like fear. There is a healthy fear and a healthy fear. And I teach this because there is the healthy ego you want to keep to help you overcome obstacles is embraces great opportunities. EGO embraces great opportunities. You need to embrace any opportunity comes to you. Unhealthy ego eliminates great opportunities. Right?
Very powerful.
So if you could learn how to embrace, keep the ego that embraces, keep your confidence up, and keep recognizing the great opportunities. Don't allow your other ego not to get help from someone, not to listen to somebody's wisdom. And then because you're above it, because you're closing yourself to everything. I think when we go through obstacles and challenges, we need help. We need to surrender, not to the darkness. We need to surrender to the light. And if you learn how to surrender to the light, and you use the healthy ego, you could have great opportunities in your life, and you learn how to keep your hope alive, because now you're seeing light through darkness. It's very important to keep yourself going, because the other way, it's just go down. But if you take the healthy way, all it's going to happen is you're going to learn the wisdom, you're open to receive, and paying it forward to help other people to see the light through darkness and share your wisdom with them. There's something powerful what you're going through right now. It's a lesson. It's a beautiful lesson you're going through right now. Just keep on holding to that lesson.
Hold on to the lesson and let go of the pain.
Yes,
where you can, and embrace those opportunities that will come forward to you. That is just really, thank you, Aimee, for sharing that amazing wisdom and insight. How can people get hold of you? We'll have this all in the show notes, but how can people get hold of you to find out more?
Well, you can go to empoweringhumanity.tv.com. Empowering Humanity, it's on the screen, empoweringhumanity.tv.com, and you can find everything you want to find over there. Everything you need to know, it will be on that website. My social media, everything.
Do get this amazing book. It's just a phenomenal read.
And also, we forgot to say this book, and also from the movie, when it comes out, I'm giving 75% out.
Yeah,
to
which I think is
abuse
lovely.
People who suffer through war, sexual abuse, and dyslexia. So I'll choose a organization, and I'm gonna donate 75%. So that's anything beautiful. When you buy, you are actually helping a child somewhere. So
that's really lovely. Thank you, Aimmee, so much for being on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure having you, and I wish you every success, and I can't wait to connect with you some more and be part of your amazing movement. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
I really hope you enjoyed that conversation. Thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to like and share this episode and leave a review on my website or on Apple Podcasts. If you're looking for opportunities to optimize your brain health or unchain your pain from a past trauma, make sure you visit my website www.ruthmaryallen.com and use the code podcast10 at checkout to get 10% off all programs. And always remember, you are not stuck with the brain you have. You have the power to make it better. You have the power to unchain your pain and optimize your brain power and performance so that you can win back energy and time doing what you love.
Each episode of Brain Health Unchaining Your Pain with Dr. Ruth Allan is for educational and demonstration purposes only. The information shared in each episode should not be interpreted as medical advice. This episode should not be used to self-diagnose or self-treat any health, medical or physical condition. Do not use this episode to avoid going to your healthcare professional or to replace the advice they give you. Consult with a trusted healthcare professional before doing anything contained in this episode. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact www.ruthmaryallen.com/connect.